All right, guys, so today is Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023. Today is my 31st wedding anniversary. So, anyway, some of you guys have been asking how my dog's doing, and she's mobile again. Kiki, what are you after? All right, come on, let's go patrol. Go do your patrolling. Not going on patrol. He's in there asleep, wasn't you? So she's been on pain medication and muscle relaxers, and it's kind of helping her be mobile again. She's just now, last couple of days has been pretty good. So I'm pretty glad of that. The doctor said she thinks she's got some kind of a problem with her back. So we think she probably went to jump up or down off of the couch. We have wood floors and it's very slick for her, and we think her leg might have come out from under her when she landed or went to jump up there and leg went out, so it might have hurt her back a little bit. But on the medication she seems a lot better, so I'm glad of that. Life is kind of back to normal at the moment. So I got Steve's car pulled out, gonna start working on it again today. So I came out earlier this morning and I blew the dust off of my car just with the air blower. It's still got dust on it, but it had lots of big stuff on it. And I drove up here to my gas station, local gas station, and I put a few gallons of gas in it, and I was mainly wanting to check the fuel gauge to see if it's working, and it is, so that's pretty cool. And from where I worked on the factory temperature gauge in the cluster, it's right in the middle when the fan comes on, like when it's, at operating temperature, the factory temperature gauge in the dash is in the middle, so I am glad of that. So now I have a little bit of a squeak. I noticed it when I pulled out here and drove a little bit through my housing addition on the way, but I didn't notice it on the way back. I put my sway bars on, and it has urethane end links on it, and it makes me wonder if the end links are just, that hard rubbery stuff, that urethane that they're made out of. They tend to squeak, and I didn't grease them before I put them on there, which I normally don't. But I didn't notice it on the way back, so maybe it just had to seat in its place. I don't know, but if anything, I might have to take the end links loose and put some grease in there. Who knows? I do have that special energy suspension clear grease that comes in the little tubes that you use on urethane components. And I got to tell you, if you get that stuff on your hands, you will have trouble getting it off. That is the stickiest stuff I've ever seen. So it will repel water very well. So that's the stuff I'll have to use, but I'm for sure going to put rubber gloves on to put it on there. So today I'm going to work on the wing window some more. I've got to figure out a solution for that wing glass pin. I've kind of been thinking of some ideas, and I really don't have a good one, so I'm just going to go for the bad one, I guess. Steve brought this bumper yesterday. This is a front bumper that was on this car originally. This is an original that somebody had replated. He bought this new and had put it on the car and was driving it before he took it to the shop for its restoration. So he wants to reuse the upper grill bar, but he did buy all new front and rear bumpers for it. He has the new, little bump guards and all three pieces of the regular bumper. So this is kind of in the way now. It's really big and in the way. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get the hose and wash all that old barn dust off there. And I'm going to take the upper grill bar off, and then that way I can store it in the house. And then the bumper I'm just going to take and put in my backyard in my fenced area. So these bumpers I got from him. I'd done a little work on his car before, and I took some, I think it was $100 off the bill for his front and rear bumpers, his old ones. The chrome is not bad. The center piece is really nice, and that end is really nice, but the chrome's peeling off on this end. So I'm just going to buy a reproduction corner and put on that one. But these bumpers are for my wife's four-door, so I don't have to buy reproduction bumpers to have re-chrome. These clean up really nice. The rear bumper is actually pretty nice on the car, but when Steve, had his car restored, he went ahead and bought all new stuff. And I got a lot of his old reproduction stuff, like his headlight bezels and taillight bezels and all that he gave me, and they still look pretty decent. They could have probably been cleaned up and reused, but I can kind of see where you're going with it. And I got to say, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing to the car. If you look at the car, the paint job on the car is pretty nice. So the car looks very, very nice. But it's all the little stuff that you start putting on. If it looks like crap, it'll make the whole car look like crap. You've really got to, you know, try to make every little part you put on the car look good. Like the ding in the trim back here. I mean, it's amateur hour, you know what I mean? So trying to just make it a little bit where it looks fantastic instead of just okay. So, you know, go the extra mile and get it done. So right now I gotta go find my dog because she took off on me. Thanks for watching. All right, so I sprayed this down with some that spray bottle of chrome cleaner stuff. It's really old. I got from Walmart probably 20 years ago. It's been in my cabinet. It still works. So these bumpers, you know, they didn't look too good. I knew the chrome was peeling off on that end, but Steve's wanting to reuse this part here. He had put this on several years back before the car went to the shop to get restored. Anyway, I didn't know that it was going to clean up that nice. It actually still looks brand new. There's one little tiny, looks like maybe a pit or something right here, but that thing cleaned up real nice. But the backside, not so well. The backside is pretty crusty, and he said yesterday you could see that reflecting in the chrome before. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask this off with some thick masking tape, the good chrome part on the outside. Just mask all of that off, and I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna blast all this, and then I'm gonna epoxy prime that. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna paint it black or if I'm gonna paint it silver. I mean, I don't know. So I'll just have to wait, maybe see what he wants to do, but it's definitely gonna have to have a coating put on it. So anyway, this bumper is mine, and this is for my wife's 4-door. Now I'm hoping, you used to be able to, I think, buy the ends separately, but I don't know if you can anymore. But hopefully I can find just an end. I need the, you know, the left side bumper end. I'm just gonna bolt a repro to this. This is an original bumper that somebody had replated, but it turned out really nice. Even the guards turned out pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect. There is little bitty specks all in it, you know, just from old chrome, but it cleaned up pretty well. The back side, you know, it's going to have to be blasted and then painted as well. But the reason you can tell that this is an original bumper is when you look at the back side of them. See all them hammer marks back there? That's how the chrome shops straighten bumpers. And then there's a couple of welds here and a couple of welds there. So they filled in some, you know, from tag brackets. And there's a deal there. It says, I think it's DN, whatever that stands for. But, I mean, these are pretty crusty inside. They'll have to be blasted and painted. But I'm pretty happy with the bumper. I mean, this is going to look really nice on my wife's 4-door. So, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm really impressed that repop chrome cleaned up as good as it did. Reproduction chrome stuff does not last near as long as the original stuff. I don't know why, but you know, some of the chrome stuff, it just doesn't hold up very well. You definitely need to keep a coat of wax on your chrome for sure. All right, so I've got probably about 3/4 of a can of this. I had it on the shelf, so that's what I'm going to use. This is stainless steel, and I mean, it kind of looks like stainless steel. So that's what when I blast this and epoxy prime it, then I'll lightly scuff it down to the little Scotch pad, and I'll spray that stainless steel in there. If I paint it black, it's going to reflect black back in the grill, which I don't know if that would be noticeable or not, but looks like there's ants living in that thing or something. Huh. But anyway, that's what I'm going to use, and I'll use it on probably that bumper too. All right, so I started going through some of the boxes here, and this is a reproduction gas pedal, but the bracket was really rusty, so I run it on my wire wheel on my bench grinder and cleaned it up. So I'm going to shoot some black etching primer on here, just aerosol front and back, and that way it won't be rusty and brown looking through his carpet, because you do see some of this up underneath the pedal, you know what I mean? So you know, little minute thing, but you know, it didn't take 5 or 7 minutes to wire wheel it and then tape it up. So I'm just going to shoot it with spray paint. So it's one of them deals where I just, yeah, I'm kind of looking at it as if it was my car, this is what I would do, but whatever. All right, so I'm trying to figure out a solution for this pin location to change. So I thought about grinding the back of this is riveted on, you can see it on the back side, it's smashed. I thought about grinding it off, pulling that off, and then re-drilling the hole, but it's going to be right on the edge, so, and then drill it and tap it, put a little tiny, like a 632 countersink in it. But I've got all this open hole over here, so it'd end up, you know, just end up slotted and it'd move. So that's not good. So the only thing I can come up with is I took another window frame, actually the very first window frame that the car had, that the guy had bent the frame on and cracked all the chrome off of. So I ground the rivet, smashed part of the rivet part off the back of that and smoothed it out a little bit. So this is the pin itself that I've got lightly gripped in these vice grips. I don't have those tight enough to mar that. So I took the other pin, and where that location is, should be, I marked it with a Sharpie right there. So I cut that into a small, just a sticking up pin, and I slightly rounded the edges a little bit. So I am going to try to offset drill a hole on the very edge of this to where this pin fits over this pin. And that way if I offset that, I can put it over, and I'll just use like some JB weld or something. If I have panel bond, I'll try that. I don't know if I have any though. But anyway, I'll try to basically glue this to this, because I can't weld on it because it's chrome plating. It might ruin the chrome, or, you know, turn it blue or red or something stupid. And this is a repop window frame, but they did not get the pin in the right location. So if I can gain 1/8 of an inch, it would work nice. So anyway, this is kind of what I'm going to try. I might try doing I'll try my dies and see what I can get to fit on here. If I can get a 632 die or an 832 die to work on this, I will use a die on that, and I will cut threads on that, and then I will drill and tap this to whatever I can get a die to go on that, like 632 or 832, and then this would thread on there, but I'll still have to offset drill this and tap it. So when I go to tighten it on there, you know, it's going to go wobbly like that, but if I can get it to stop where I need it, I would have it made. So I'm telling you, man, it's ridiculous. If they could just put the pin location where it needs to be, you know. Well, that was rather difficult trying to tap that pin because of these little bitty cheap taps like I have. You know, they'll break off. They'll start twisting and then they'll break off, so you have to go just a little bit and then loosen it off, turn it a little bit, and then go back tight. So I kept loosening, tightening for, it seemed like 10 minutes just to get that tapped. I've got the drill, I drilled the hole almost all the way through, and you know, I got it tapped and I've got it screwed on there, but I'm gonna pull it back off and then Loctite it. It doesn't look very nice the way it's sitting up on top of that, but you can see my mark where it needs to be, and that's dead center of that pin. So now the wing window frame and stuff will be able to close like it's supposed to, but now this goes up inside the rubber, so you really won't see any of this anyway. But that was a lot of work. It's about an hour worth of work just to do that, but I think it's going to work. But I'm going to pull this back off, and I'm going to have to spray it with some brake clean, because I was using penetrating lubricant for the tap, and anyway, I'm gonna have to clean that off, both pieces to bare metal, and then put some Loctite on it. And then after I screw it back on for good, I'm gonna go in here with brush paint, a little bitty fine detail brush and some silver paint, and brush on this so it doesn't rust. But I mean, that's the best I could do, and that's the only thing I could come up with. There's probably some easier way and something else you can do, but as far as me in my head, that's the only thing I can think of. But I believe this is probably going to work now, but for right now I'm going to go eat lunch. All right, it's going to work like it was made to work in the first place, I guess. So I relocated that pin, and when I pull that frame in, I've got my clearance right there off the rubber, and it's the same amount back there. How cool is that? It works just like it's supposed to. So you can't see the pin at all. It goes up in the rubber, so you're not going to see it at all. But I have to take it back out of there now and clean it up, do the Loctite and all that stuff. I just wanted to mock it up, make sure it all worked before I went in there and finalized everything. So now I can move forward. All right, so I cleaned this with acetone down inside. Actually, I'm out of brake clean, so I poured some acetone in this cap, submerged that, and then shook it, and then blew it out with the air blower. So I've got all the penetrating lubricant out of that, and then I poured acetone on here and let it kind of run off. So this is clean metal now. So what I'm going to use is some Loctite here. This will lock it in place, and it won't turn. I might have got a little much on there, but that's all right. So now you can see where I drilled that offset, and of course I got the Loctite on it now, but you can see where I've threaded it, and I ground this down a little bit after I threaded it and then run the die on it again. But I think that's pretty awesome. So I'm turning this to make sure it's on the side it needs to be on there. So that Loctite will pretty much hold it there. And now I've got this stuff that I picked up at my welding shop. This is bright zinc, and I'm just going to spray a little bit in this cap, and then I'm going to use this little cheap brush here, and I'm going to go through and brush all of that bare metal right there, so the chrome doesn't rust or anything. Fortunately, you don't see any of this up in that rubber, so that's really nice. Nobody will see that this was modified. Now, I feel like this was a pretty decent little repair. I'm looking at it from the longevity side of it. This should last. Steve's car in particular is going to be a family heirloom after him, so you know, it's going to stay in the family. So all this stuff that I'm doing, I need to make sure it's going to last, even though it's, you know, it's not going to last forever, some of this stuff, but just trying to help it out, because everybody wants to wash their car, you know what I mean? Water and metal usually doesn't mix, unless they're coated and stuff, but I mean, some people may look at this as a total hack job, and I got to tell you, I completely disagree with that. You can think what you want, but if the wing window is not going to close because this pin's in the wrong location, you got to come up with something, you know what I mean? Is there anybody else that would have out there that would have went through that kind of trouble? You know what I mean? There probably is, but they're probably few and far between. I'm happy with that. So the rubber on this is setting up there a little bit taller than the original, which is a good thing, because when I put this together yesterday before, you know, doing this offset pin on here, when you started turning the wing window was trying to move forward and backward in there, so the pin really wasn't long enough. So now the pin is long enough. That hole goes all the way through that rubber, so it's perfect. Especially during mock-up, it's fitting in there a little bit tighter. So I'm really happy with that repair, guys. I mean, like it or not, it's going to work. You know what I mean? Well, as usual, nothing can go smoothly because of reproduction stuff. So you just watched me modify the chrome wing window frame pin at the top because it's reproduction to make it work correct. And now this is a reproduction door on this car, so not an OEM door from 55. So I got ready to put the bolts in, or the screws in, to bolt the wing window frame to the post on the door here. And the holes are too small. The screws won't even go in there. They won't even start. So these are going to have to be drilled open bigger to get those in there. So that's... does it surprise me? No, it doesn't. It's just, can I get a break is what I want to know. But anyway, I got corrected on a comment, I think it was a couple days ago. When I'm talking about threads on bolts and stuff, I like this, for instance, I say 832. That is an 832 screw right there with a number 6 head. And somebody corrected me and said 30 seconds, not 32. So they want me to say 830 seconds instead of 832. And let me tell you this, that is a measurement. On a standard hardware, it's threads per inch. So that is a number 8 screw with 32 threads per inch. It's not a measurement. It's not 30 seconds. It's a tooth count or a thread count. But thanks. I had to drag the welder out here, put my welding blanket on the car. I had to weld up 2 holes in here. They're not in the right location. I'm still going to have to slot a couple of them, just a little bit, but this is why mock-up is so important when you're building a car. Before you put paint on it, you should try to bolt stuff together first. Alright, so I got it all welded up. I used my belt sander and I sanded it smooth. And then I just kind of masked off a rectangle area there. There's a weld up here and a weld down here. Then I went in and I sanded it after I taped it off, and then wiped it off, and then shot it with some etching primer. You don't see any of this. It's completely hidden behind stainless cover. But I didn't want anything to start rusting back there, getting surface rusted or some moisture to it or whatever. And I done this back area too. So anyway, both sides got sanded and sprayed with some etching primer. So now I gotta fold up my welding blanket. I gotta put up my welder and all that kind of stuff. It kind of sucks, man, but it had to be done, you know what I mean? Stuff's off so bad on that reproduction. It's just, it takes hours to fix it. Pay good money for something and then spend more money fixing it. Alright guys, so it's about 4 p.m. and it is super hot out here. 106 is the high today. The heat index, I think I was told, was 114, 116, something crazy. So it is, it's pretty warm, let me tell you. So anyway, I just finished up the wing window, kinda. I've got it all screwed in. I had to drill a hole for this screw to screw the frame to the door. I had to drill the 2 holes for the lower L bracket for the wing window assembly to go to the door. Of course, I had to slot a few holes for the front and then weld up 2 places, and then I'm gonna have to re-drill. I'm gonna do it after everything else is done and this gets ready to go on for good. That way they'll be in the exact location. They were off about halfway. These 2 holes right here, so the screws would have went in at an angle and they'd have been sticking out sideways after they were seated, so that's why they got welded up. But I'm happy with it now. Man, I tell you, it was a lot of work just messing with that frame and then having to put it all in a reproduction door and then have to weld up holes and drill holes and all that kind of stuff. But it works really nice and smooth now. So I am really happy about that. I mean, that's as good as it gets, I guess. But anyway, I am done. Today's my 31st anniversary. I think I said that this morning when I did the intro. But anyway, I need to go in the house and shave and clean up. I guess I'll take my wife to dinner tonight. Thanks for watching, guys.